So now that we have a way to create icons in a simple way and inside Unity, of course you might want to touch them up a little bit in the, well, you know, in Photoshop or add something extra. Obviously, if you haven't seen the icon maker video, go watch that. You'll find a link also in the description, so you can make your own icons. Or you will also, if you don't want to do that, you'll find the icon, the two icons I'm using in here. You'll find them in the resources folder, also link in the description. So let's go to D. Hopefully you know what kind of UI we're going to make. You'll be surprised, but it's going to be something like this. Okay, an indicator how many of your score, well, you know, how many souls or how many boxes you have collected. This neat little thing in here, and yeah, stuff like this up here. For inventory and stuff like that, we're going to dedicate a whole different video, but we're just going to focus with this, and we want to place the icons to be used as well in here. We don't have something like this, or actually I might just make a bottom like this and like this in a bit. So I made also a base for items, and let's go and create the UI. Now with this, if you know how to make a proper UI, it might be a little bit redundant. Also, just keep in mind that I'm not a designer, I'm not a UI designer, so I'm just going with what I see. Let's create an image. We have a canvas. Before we do any changes on the canvas, we're going to do foremost thing, scale with screen size. We're going to assign a resolution by 1080 and 1080. Now this, depending on what you want to do or the type of game you want to make, this might not be ideal, or you know, it's just a way for me to just work right now and don't really care about where the resolution is placed and stuff like that. So let's create an empty scene, an empty game object, and let's call this left, bottom left. Let's assign this as to the anchor down here, and let's drop one image just to see where we are situated. Bottom left, take all this and assign it, stick it down there, and maybe somewhere over here. I'm going to take my game view into my other scene because I always want to watch it. Okay, so I can have a clear view, and you should probably do the same so you can watch the same, from the same, so you can have an idea what the UI looks like in a big screen. And I'm going to call this item base, or inventory base, or quick slot base, or something like that. And let's say this is an empty, and I think it just moves around like this. We're going to drop the image in here, and width, let's go, I think width should be 100, and let's try 128. Maybe that is a bit too small. Let's go 128, and 256, it's way too large. Let's go, and maybe this is one too large. Let's go with 150. Let's go with 160. Maybe this is a kind of way too small also. Let's go 160, it's too much. 130, and 130 and 160 is enough, I believe. Of course, feel free to do your own changes. I'm going to call this background. I'm going to duplicate this and disable it for now. For my background, I'm going to say something blackish. I'm going to lower the intensity or the alpha, Let's see if we add an outline, what it's going to do. It's going to darken everything, so we don't want an outline like that. We don't want this to be a raycast target, although we're not really going to be using the mouse anyway. Let's see. Let's copy paste this. And for the source image, I'm going to add background, fill sender. I'm going to untick it, and if I make this now white, you will see that we get an outline. Okay, let's scale this one a little bit to go over the background. Or well, you know, we have 150, 45, and 45 is too much, so we're going to cut that at half, and 160, 170, 142, it's still too much, 141, maybe it's something like this. Let's scale a bit the... let's leave it like that, and I'm going to raise also, I'm going to change the color, maybe something yellowish. I'm going to raise the alpha, but not entirely. Something like that. Let's call this outline. I'm going to drop it under my background, and I'm also going to now create or use the same background we have in here, and let's drop one of the swords. Okay, and it sits right there in the corner. Of course, it needs a lot more love, and we're going to set this up as 256 by 256, so we know we're using the correct resolution. Okay, without any problems. Keep in mind that you'll be watching them from far away distance. I'm going to call this icon, and we want to basically clamp everything inside this, maybe place it like that, and then delete the rest of the stuff. To delete it, I'm going to duplicate everything, or well, I only want the background. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to call this layer mask. Set this to white. Make higher the alpha and drop the background under the layer mask, and on the layer mask we can add layer, not later, or mask, I think it was, mask, and we have our mask in here. We should probably no, this won't work. Maybe if we put, let's put only the icon under the mask, and the background something doesn't work here, and so mask graphic, we don't want it. Okay, we have this, let's put it over the outline, and here we have it inside our UI slot, and I'm not entirely happy with it, but anyway, it's going to do. Let's also add the background, the backdrop, and which will be, let's duplicate this icon, let's call this not background or base or whatever. Let's take this one and drop it in here. Of course, this is way too huge. Let's scale it down, and something like this, which is really horrible. Okay, can stick down there, and maybe let's try and work with the icon. It's starting to get really small that way, so maybe we'll leave it in here and clamp it even more with the layer mask. Something like that. Let's try to conform it. Okay, that's the best I can do. Let's leave it a little bit more room to move. The icon in here. yeah, maybe it needs less room to move. Something like that. Okay, you got the idea. This is how it works. Quick slots base, and we're going to use this for the rest of the slots. But I think I might want to make it a little bit make it slightly smaller. Something like that could work. Let's fix the outline. Let's see what we have in here. 160, and for the background 152. Well, it's not perfect, but well, you know, limited resources call for limited measures. It probably needs a little bit more love. Let's make a little bit higher the alpha. Okay, so we at least have a clear view of what's happening in here. On the icon you can also put a shadow, and also on the base we can also put shadow, or on the icon let's try instead of a shadow, or instead, yeah, let's go if it can go like glow or something. Nah, it doesn't really show that much, it's not really flattering. Let's close this and let's go with an outline or something, which is doesn't really make, yeah. Well, the black outline makes it a little bit pop more. But anyway, yeah, you got the idea. If you want, just edit the icons in Photoshop or something like that. It's not really any point. It doesn't really make any point. We just want something to work with. Let's also put an outline here. Okay, let's leave it at that. We have our quick slot basically, and we now of course need 4 of them, but before we use 4 of them, we're going to create a few scripts, and this is going to be UI create sysup script, and let's call this quick slot. Let's delete this. Namespace, let's say, let's go with UI, since this has to do with the UI, and we're going to need a lot more, using Unity engine.ui, and we now need references. So image, and it hasn't loaded the, or let's just write it and then we open image. We want our icon. Let's see what else we need. I think only the icon might work in this case, or we can also get, if you want, yeah, let's leave it only at the icon. Let's close this, open it up. Actually, yeah, since we only need one in here, we're going to just make it as a different class. We're going to serialize it, system.serializable public class slots, or queue slots, since we're probably going to have slots on the inventory as well. We're going to say public image icon. Let's make an enum to be able to select easily from each one of these, and we can use the same enums as what we had, you know, right button, right trigger, although we might have, yeah, let's create new ones. Slots, slot type, or not type, slot input. I'm going to write it, and I'm going to say, yeah, maybe not. Let's write it as slot type. or queue slot type. Queue slot type, and we can say right hand or RH, left hand, item, and spell. Okay, we have 4 slots. So public queue slot type, queue slot type, queue slot, or yeah, just type. In our quick slots, we can say we're going to have a void init, and we're also going to have a list, public list, queue slot type, slots, or queue slots. Although since it's inside the not queue slot type, queue slots, since it's inside already this one that's called queue quick slots, it's redundant. Let's initialize it, and we have our in. So when we are actually updating the icon, public void update slot, we need to know the slot type as type, and what else we need to know is, of course, we need to have the icon, or let's just leave it at I. Let's do a few functions we're going to need. Queue slots, get slot, queue slot type T, and over here we're going to do for slots dot length or count if slots I dot type is the same as the T, then simply return slots I, otherwise return null. So in here we're going to say queue slots, let's go with queue get slot as type, queue dot icon will be icon dot sprite equals I. No, yeah, no. So it's not the image. I think it was image, wasn't it? So yeah, we need to be passing the sprite and not the image. Yeah. Okay, so this will also work as updating our slots. Let's go and fix our slots. I'm basically going to, yeah, let's create the 4 slots of the apocalypse. Let's see, something is a little bit centered off, which I don't necessarily care for. Let's see, position 0, position X. Quick slots base, now we have it all like this. Okay, let's call this down, up, left, right, and we can say down will stay over there, up something like this, and left something like this. I think I like more that they're a bit more darked out. So what I'm going to also do, I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm going to my prefabs, which we don't have, so we're going to make them. Create folder prefabs, UI, down, we're going to call this UI, not UI, queue slot, queue slot. Okay, And now we can, if we are doing changes to one, it can change, it is going to change to all the rest. Let's do it almost black, something like this. And now let's create them again. Let's call this down, choose slot, up, hold shift so that it's moving on a distance. You can see 339, 180, although since we only have two, doesn't matter. Let's put one on the left. Let's go with something like that, and let's bring it up. Yeah, maybe not that much, maybe like this. Let's call this left, copy paste it, and let's do the right one. Oops. And the right. Okay, and now we have our common, and we can just move this, I guess. Or maybe yet if we create a new empty game object in here and put everything down here and try to center it. Oh, that's kind of horrible. Yeah, that's not really going to work, is it? Delete this. Where is the bottom left? Bring it down here and take all of this, try to center them, and then move the bottom. Oops. As I said, I'm not a UI artist. Anyway, whatever, let's leave it at that. It's about over here. This is how it looks on the game scene, so it's really a clear way we can work with. Okay, we know how it works. Let's create a few managers though. So we need UI manager, and let's drop it above our directional light. Let's call this quick slots, and let's assign the stuff we need. We want 4 of this, and let's take it down. Oops. Q slot down, UI manager. Let's take the icon and put it under. The down should be the item, up should be the spell, and right hand come on, yeah, manager, right hand, and then we need left hand. Okay, let's go back to our scripts. On quick slots, we're going to also make this a singleton. Public static quick slot. And we want this because, well, you know, we're all going to have one of these. So before we fix all of this, let's go and make the other stuff we're going to need, and we know we're going to need. So I'm going to go and create UI image, not image, let's go with sliders. Not the burgers, the sliders. Okay, something like that. We want the fill area. We don't want the handle. Let's close this. And I think this graphic is a little bit meh. So what I'm going to do is delete the UI sprite and put an outline. And on the background I'm also going to delete the slice and put another background, an outline. Actually, I'm just going to lower its color opacity, and maybe give it a little bit of this. And our fill area, well, let's go with green or something that's less offensive. Okay, we have our green area, our fill area. Let's fix the slider to be value at 1. So we also need to make this so that it actually reaches the end. Handle slide, yeah, we don't need this. This and this will be a slider. Before we actually fix the sliders on our canvas, create empty child. Let's call this upper right, no, upper left, upper left. Drop the slider. Let's see where this is. This is over here, should be. Let's also take our slider. For right now, let's just drop it in here, maybe scale it a little bit. And we'll see, let's change the values. Minimum value, of course, is going to be 0, and maximum value can be, let's go with 100. Start with 100. And we want whole numbers, and the value right now, maybe something less. Yeah, something like this. Or I think instead of green, it's, yeah, I think stamina is green. So let's, or well, you know, copy paste this, put this above, put the one below, and this is going to be our stamina. This is going to be health, and we need one more for spells, mana, or however they are called. So maybe this is going to be stamina. Health is first, so let's put it also first. And this should be mana, or however it's called. I don't know, I never played a spell class for multiple reasons. Okay, red. Handle slide area. Let's see. No, we have our health, mana, fill area, fill. Let's go with blue. He has a little trick that can work as well. If we go on our fill area, drop it underneath it, and scale it slightly, remove the outline, we don't want the outline, and give it a little bit of more color. Okay, you can now read it a little bit better because it's like pseudo 2D, pseudo 3D. If let's go zoom in and maybe place it like over here, maybe give it a little bit of love. So if I change now my health, oh no, it doesn't work, unless we can clamp it like this. So if this changes, yeah, that's not going to work. Oops. And we managed to destroy all of it. Nice. Anyway, forget that. Let's copy paste the mana. Let's place it. So basically just change the graphic you have in here, and you shouldn't have to worry about it. Health, let's put it back to red. Okay, something like that. Our health, of course we need an icon for our covenants. Obviously, we're not casual, so in here. Let's put the sliders in here. Let's put, or let's copy one of these, one of the slots, bring it in here. Reset position. We don't want the icon, or we can leave it just to have an idea. Layer mask, background, let's close it like this and like this, and layer mask, maybe the outline, close this, let's see if we lower everything down like this and like this. Okay, the base, we don't need it anymore. Delete it. And the icon should probably be somewhere like this. Well, okay, for the icons you will know already the resolution, so that can work. Okay. We have our health, we have our mana. Let's make it a little bit tighter. I don't necessarily care that it's that far away from each other. And we have our health, mana. Let's bring it up. Stamina. Obviously, you want proper UI. And down here we can create a grid. So I want to bring all of this slightly up so they are at the same level as this. At least let's make it as tight as we can. Let's call this Covenant icon or just Covenant. Let's create another. Oops, what was that? Let's create another empty game object. Let's call this effects grid. Take it down here. Let's create an image, drop it down here, and on the effects grid you usually have an icon and you usually have an arrow up and down. We don't have neither of those, so let's just fix the behavior. At least we want something little small. 10 by 10 I think it's too small. Middle center. Let's create a few more, see how it looks. We need a spacing on the X. Let's go with 5. Let's go with 20 and 20. That's probably too much. Something like this. Start axis, upper left, child alignment, middle left. Yeah, probably this will work. Something like this, and if I add more it goes over the end. Okay, so this will be our effects, you know, that they can stack up. Let's stay with 3 and we're going to leave it like this. Of course we're going to see them on a much later video. We have all that, and finally one more, maybe the most important thing, you never know. Empty game object, lower bottom right, Q slot, bottom right, bring it down here, Q slot down. We don't want any of the icons. Layer mask, we don't want the icon, we don't want the base. Let's see what we want. We want all of this but rotate it a little bit, so let's fix the background first. We also don't need the layer mask anymore. Maybe it's best if we, or yeah, let's just leave it like this, something like this. Outline, outline, outline. Let's call it boxes. Center it. Let's put our boxes somewhere in here. Maybe it's a little bit too small, so let's fix this as well. Something like that. No. Who knows? Probably designer knows. But those are hard to come by. Yeah, maybe it's a bit too large. So that doesn't work. Let's close this, please. Anyway, let's create UI, text, drop it in here. White color. Oops. if this starts to get spammed all the time, it's probably one of the sizes that needs work. Let's see. No. Anyway, it's the background. We see. Sometimes it does that because Unity. Something like that. Background text. Let's go with 25. Okay. Let's put a number. It doesn't matter if it's not realistic or not. Okay, we're just visualizing, maybe with an outline to be a little bit sharper. And well, it's usually there's also an icon down here, so I'm going to let you put your own icons down there, or you can create a box and put that. But anyway, here is our counter. Okay, so we have our UI. Let's go fix it so that all this update automatically. So on init, for each slot we have down here slots, count slots I dot icon, set active or game object set active to false. So that means when you're doing this, q dot icon dot game object dot set active to true when you're changing your icons. We should probably put this into all of them. Public void clear icons. We might add more in the future. For example, more UI, more items or more spells, because you also have durability down here and the next item in the queue. But yeah, I think it's going to be an overkill if we do this on this video. And also we're going to hook all these events on the next one, where we're going to work with stamina and health bar, mana, poise, all stuff like that. We still have a lot to do. So okay, clear icons, all of this. So that means on inventory manager, when we are changing weapons, init equip weapon, we have if it's on the left hand or if it's on the right hand, so we can use this to go and update the actual UI on weapons. Then on the actual weapon we have our idle animations. We should probably also add a string for weapon ID, but we're going to do this, we're going to use this much later. But for now we're going to add a sprite and we're going to say icon. Okay, so that means when we are equipping a weapon, we have if he's left and right. We know it's a weapon because we only use this for weapons, and we can say if if is left, or actually let's write it first and see if any changes we might need to do. So what I'm going to say, quick slots or no quick slots, we need first UI dot quick slot. Yeah, actually we don't even, I think quick slot is the actual script. Yeah, it's the class. We need that. Q or slot, or maybe UI slot. UI dot quick slot dot singleton. So if it's the left hand, let's not do it like that. Let's say UI slot dot update slot. Let's break it down. We have two slots, either left or right, so that will mean we're going to add a ternary operator If it's left, then it's going to be UI quick slot type dot left hand or UI dot right hand, and we need to pass the sprite, and of course the sprite is inside our weapon and our icon. And here's our ternary operator. Now we also need somewhere to initialize the, we don't need this, our quick slot, save, and let's also go into, well, when we actually make menus and all stuff like that, we're going to be initializing them, the UI, before we actually come into the game scene or before we actually create our controller. Okay, so for right now, let's just put it anywhere, but anywhere that runs before the inventory manager runs. So that means on start, UI dot q slot dot singleton dot init. Save. Let's hit play. Oh no, before we hit play we need to assign icons. So controller, left hand weapon and right hand weapon, icon, we have our sword. Oops, I want the shield here. Shield, and then our sword. Let's hit play, and we did something wrong. I can see that the layer mask needs adjustment. Let's fix it. Let's do it now. Bottom left. Let's fix the first one. Let's make it the layer mask to be inside the box in every way possible. Okay, let's hit on our Q slot down, let's hit apply, and everything updated. So we probably set up left is this one and right is this one, so that means on our UI manager right hand, left one was on the right. Yeah, we have this wrong, or instead of changing that, let's change this to right hand and left hand. Let's hit play, and voila, we have them. Obviously the icons need a little bit more love, but you got the idea. We have now a working UI. And we also have something in our controller. For some reason we can stack somewhere. Okay, so I think, yeah, this is enough. This probably was a little bit of a boring video, but we have to set up the UI properly. And on the next one we're going to continue normally with the development of the rest of the features. But yeah, at least now we have something to update from all of this. So you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, praise the sun, and if you like to see more, you like to see them earlier than when they go live on YouTube, then you can support me on Patreon, and as a reward you will also be able to do that. Also you get additional rewards depending on your pledge tier, and the other way you can support me is of course via Gumroad, by buying a project or two, including this one when it's going to be ready. So I'll see you on the next one.